Since November of last year, I've been on a bit of a mystery dungeon craze. I 100%ed the Virtual Console Explorers of Sky on my Wii U, and then I went back to my cartridge save file and did the same. And if you've played Explorers of Sky, then you'd know about the egg system. In Explorers of Sky, you can get eggs as a prize from jobs or spin a cafe. Egg Pokemon will have higher level 1 stats and can have up to 3 egg moves. And I've decided that I'll make Fakemon based on the Pokemon I hatched. Type Swap to match the egg moves they had. We'll make Sword and Shield inspired dex entries, Pokemon DB inspired information pages, Sword and Shield inspired learn sets, and some extra stuff so you could know all you'd need to know. Let's start with the first egg I hatched during my mystery dungeon craze. Berry the Baneri. Yeah, the first egg hatched into my favorite normal type's pre-evolution.
It is my destiny to bring enlightenment of Lopunny's wholesomeness.
Berry's egg move turned out to be Ice Punch. Now, longtime viewers may know this wouldn't be the first time I did this. About a year ago, I made a Lopunny for every evolution type. But I'll be honest, I'm not entirely happy with those Fakemon. I basically just fused Lopunny with the evolutions. So a lot of the designs came out to be not very creative. But with this video, I have a chance to give an Ice-type Lopunny another go. And the Ice-type Lopunny of that video was one of the ones I did like. So let's try to enhance that idea without being tied to Glaceon. As you'd probably expect, I started with Lopunny-like proportions. However, to survive in the cold, this Lopunny needed to pack some heat. And by that, I of course mean this Lopunny will be more on the thick side. Something I came up with in my original Ice-type Lopunny concept. But one thing I really wanted to do was have the ear fur tie around the neck. This would help Lopunny stay warm in winter-like climates, and kind of looks like those furry hats people wear in winter. The arms and legs of Lopunny would also be covered in more fur, with the leg fur looking more like stockings now. And one last change I want to draw attention to are the eyes. Instead of the normal eyebrows that Lopunny has, the fur around Lopunny's eyes have now taken the form of long eyelashes, which I thought was a nice touch. But with that, it's time to meet Lopunny, the rabbit Pokemon, regional variant.
Coats made from Lopunny's fur can keep you warm even in a blizzard. Lopunny shares this warmth with little ones who need it.
Lopunny, the name stays the same as is consistent with regional variants, is a mono ice type. Like the name, stats like the catch rate also stay the same. It's onto the right side of the page where things change. Lopunny's abilities are normally Cute Charm, Klutz, and Limber, but this Lopunny has Cute Charm, Thick Fat, and the hidden ability Fluffy. This Lopunny is both on the thicker and fluffier side after all. These abilities give you options on how you want this Lopunny to battle. Do you go for Thick Fat and remove the fire weakness? Or do you increase fire damage in return for less physical damage? I don't think any ice type has both of these abilities, so it would be interesting. Finally, for the stats, this Lopunny is a lot slower than classic Lopunny, but has more HP and defenses to be tankier instead. Now let's take a look at the learn set this Lopunny would have. The learn set is largely based on Lopunny's Sword and Shield learn set. However, we see a lot more ice moves all around. The one thing I do want to draw attention to is Snowscape. As you know, Snowscape is Halo's replacement in Gen 9. So even though I am basing these learn sets on Sword and Shield, I will account for any moves that were removed/replaced in Scarlet and Violet. Next up, we have this Lopunny shiny coloring, which you know what I had to do. I'm a sucker for a regional variant whose shiny is their counterpart's colors. Finally, let's explain the name origin of this Fakemon. Or at least I would if this wasn't a regional variant with the same name. Lopbeard Bunny, guys, keep up. Lopunny has adapted to harsh cold environments by growing out more fur. While they normally run away from any who suddenly approach them, if you manage to gain the trust of of a Lopunny, they will happily share their warm fur with you. Young children and Pokemon, though, are kept warm without question. Another truly wholesome Pokemon to add to the list. With Lopunny covered, it's time we move on to the second Pokemon I hatched, Vance the Vulpix. Wow. First, the pre-evolution to one of my favorite Pokemon, and now another one?
I knew Explorers of Sky was meant to be my favorite game.
Anyways, Vance's egg moves ended up being Feint Attack and Extra Sensory, meaning we'll be making a Dark Psychic Ninetales. Or at least we technically will. You see, after I made the original variant of Lopunny, I thought it'd be kinda boring if all the Fakemon were original variants. So here I decided that the Ninetales won't exactly be a regional variant. Instead, for Ninetales, we'll be making a convergent evolution, meaning this Fakemon isn't actually related to Ninetales at all, but instead adopted Ninetales-like aesthetics because it was beneficial. And I think I have an idea of how I'll make this work, but you'll have to wait and see how. Okay, so right away I wanted this Fakemon to have a smug face. This Fakemon knows they aren't Ninetales, but because others do think they're Ninetales, they can take advantage of the legends surrounding Ninetales. There are some Ninetales-like motifs like the main Ninetales has, but the mane on this Fakemon is literally flipped the other way around. One final difference is that this Fakemon only has 3 tails. There isn't really a significance to that number. If there is, it's entirely coincidental. I just thought, hey, Vulpix has 6 tails, Ninetales has 9, so this Fakemon will only have 3. So they're at the bottom of the totem pole to say the least. But with that, it's time to meet Ninetales, the copycat Pokemon.
Ninetales has little to no mystical powers. Despite this, they're somehow revered as the incarnation of a deity, but they're just liars.
Ninetales is a dark psychic type. Now, even though Ninetales isn't an original variant of Ninetales, in fact, Ninetales is more of a feline than a canine, some of the stats here are similar to Ninetales. The catch rate is slightly higher and the gender ratio is split. But on the other hand, the base friendship and egg group are the same. Ninetales' base ability is Prankster and Anticipation is the hidden ability. Prankster comes from some of the Ninetales lore we'll delve into more later, but what you need to know is that Ninetales is a bit of a scam artist, using their Ninetales-like looks to take advantage of Ninetales' reputation. But then there's the Anticipation hidden ability. While Ninetales loves being worshipped, they're cowards at heart. If their worshippers come to them for protection against a powerful foe, they'll just ditch the village and try to get worshipped somewhere else. Ninetales has a base stat total of 505 like Ninetales, just being faster and tankier but hitting less hard. Now let's take a look at the learn set Ninetales would have. Normally Ninetales only has level 1 moves since they're a stone evolution, but I decided to base this level up learn set on Vulpix instead, just of course with less fire moves but more dark and psychic moves. The Fakemon here naturally learn the moves that cause these type swaps. So while Lopunny has Ice Punch, Ninetales has Extra Sensory. Feint Attack was removed in Sword and Shield. Next up we have Ninetales' Shiny Coloring. While of course not original variant, I think it'd still be cool if Convergent Evolutions had their counterparts' colors. But instead of having Ninetales' colors, Ninetales look similar to Vulpix. Finally, let's explain the name origin of Ninetales. Convergent Evolutions tend to have similar names to their counterpart, but like replaces 9 since this Fakemon is a copy. Ninetales is a Pokemon who coincidentally ended up looking like Ninetales. They used this to their advantage, however, because of Ninetales' reputation. Villages unaware of the copycat revere Ninetales, believing them to be the embodiment of noble saints. However, Ninetales are truly cowards who run at the first sight of danger, but not bad overall for Ninetales at home. And now for the final final Fakemon of the video, based on the third egg I hatched in Explorers of Sky during my craze, Olivia the Omanyte, which you know is kinda one of my favorite Pokemon, at least one of my favorite Pokemon memes. Anyways, Olivia's egg moves were Spikes and Haze, meaning that the Omastar will be a ground ice type, a pretty unusual type combination for an Omastar indeed. While we could make another regional variant or convergent evolution, maybe we could try something different one more time. A past Paradox Pokemon, who will once again have a Sword and Shield inspired Dex entry and learn set. I spent $19 on this book, don't judge me. Anyways, I've never drawn a Paradox Pokemon of either kind, so this will definitely be an experiment. But for the final Fakemon of this video, I think I'll give it a shot. Okay, so this one was tough since, like I said, I've never drawn a Paradox Pokemon before. Initially, the sketch felt like it looked too much like Omastar. There are some differences like the ice shards on the shell and tentacles, and the eyes being sunken into the shell. But when I started with the line art, I thought of some cool ideas for changes. For one, the shell now goes the other way around, curling into the front instead of the back. Next up, instead of just the eyes being sunken into the shell, the entire face is sunken in. After that, things are relatively consistent with the sketch. So with that, it's time to meet Frigid Surf, the Paradox Pokemon.
This Pokemon resembles a creature in an old text, said creature being named Frigid Surf.
Frigid Surf is a ground ice type. Frigid Surf is a Pokemon who happens to look like the Pokemon Omastar, but the connection between the two is unclear. What is also unclear is if Frigid Surf is actually the creature in that old text. Frigid Surf's stats on the left are on par with other Paradox Pokemon, and the same goes for the ability and base stat total. Frigid Surf's only ability is Photosynthesis, boosting their highest non-HP stat in sunlight or with the booster energy. But looking at the base stats, it's likely that the defense will be boosted. Frigid Surf's stat spread is similar to Omastar's, but with a base stat total of 570, Frigid Surf will be a lot more powerful. Now let's take a look at the learn set Frigid Surf would have. Spikes and Haze are here since they're the moves that cause this type swap. Other than that, the learn set is a combo of Omastar and Paradox Pokemon. Next up, we have Frigid Surf's shiny coloring. Frigid Surf takes a greenish coloring with the shell becoming more faded, but the ice stays the same color as the originals. Finally, let's explain the name origin of Frigid Surf. Like all Paradox Pokemon, the name is just two words next to each other. Frigid is a very cold temperature, and I thought it would fit a more primordial Pokemon. Next, there is Surf, which is a reference to Frigid Surf's Omastar-like appearance. Though I guess it's ironic since Frigid Surf would be weak to water moves. Frigid Surf is an elusive Pokemon rarely seen in the Great Crater of Paldea. Ancient texts speak of a creature who would freeze prey into blocks of ice. This creature was dubbed Frigid Surf from its aquatic appearance, and when explorers of the Great Crater saw this Pokemon acting similar, it was given the same name. A mysterious Pokemon who has probably earned some praise. And there you have it, folks. A Fakemon based on Mystery Dungeon eggs I've hatched. What did you guys think of this video concept? Which of these Fakemon was your favorite? And would you like to see more videos with this concept? Also, I have channel memberships now. For $1.99 USD a month, you can get cool perks like early video access, getting to critique Fakemon designs before they're used for a video, seeing your username during the credits, and you'll see my reaction to this year's Pokemon Presents next week. So if you have $2 to spare, join the ranks of extra wonderful people. Have a nice day, you wonderful people.
Dang it, should have gone for Frigid Turf.